entirely on climate change alone? Is unauthorized construction on riverbeds, the greed of the real estate developers and the flouting of building norms equally at fault? Since June 20th, following the onset of the monsoon in Himachal Pradesh, at least 28 people have lost their lives. And people have died because of floods, cloudbursts, drowning and electrocution. Heavy rainfalls have taken place all across the states. Roads have been blocked, distribution, transformers have been hit. But if you look at these visuals, you'll see one thing. You have construction everywhere. On this, I am joined by Kartiki Negi, lead climate impacts and science, climate trends. Thank you so much for joining me. My question to you is very, very simple. My question to you is it just climate change or rampant construction with the Devabhoomi, Himachal Pradesh and other hill states are witnessing, madam?
Well, definitely it's a mixed bag. You cannot alone put all the blame on the climate change. Because, in this scenario, researchers and scientists, they have been well beforehand, they have been predicting that, Himalayas will bear the maximum brunt of the climate change, and what is happening has already been predicted this time as well. But we have not given a check on the rampant urbanization, unchecked construction across the Himalayan states, and this has been the case again and again. And this has been the same story for past many years. If you see some of the data, 72%, more than 72% of the flooding has happened during the monsoon months across Himalayas between 1980 to 2024. Well, this gives us a clear idea that we need to be better prepared, and that is the only solution, because right now we will not be able to control the amount of rains that are coming down, triggering floods, flash floods or landslides. But what we can actually build is a better place where less amount of construction, mindful construction, looking at how people can control.
My point is very, very simple. My point is simple. Yes, we have a climate change. Yes, mountains are vulnerable. But are we making them more vulnerable? Are we making our mountains vulnerable by just making roads? I understand that there is a security need, and security of this country comes first. But do you think that this sort of low-cost tourism which is taking place should be allowed? Should there be restaurants on the riverbed? Should there be parking spaces on riverbed? Look at these houses. I mean to say, should this construction be allowed there? Let me play out the bite of the Chief Minister of Himachal Pradesh, Mr. Sukhu, and one more bite of the Himachal Pradesh Disaster Management in the Revenue Department. And then I'll come to you with this question, that this intrusion of the Himalayan mountains, isn't that adding to the larger tragedy of climate change? But after we play the bites.
इस प्रकार चट्टानें खिसक रही है, बड़ी बड़ी चट्टानों के खिसकने का कारणों की जांच जरूरी है। और मेरा मानना है, क्योंकि हम अभी पैदल चल के घटनास्थल पर गए हैं, इस बारे में हमें अध्ययन करना होगा कि जो चट्टानों के ऊपर घर थे, एकदम इतनी तेज बारिश में तकरीबन 20 के घर पूरी तरह नष्ट हो गए। अब वो क्यों नष्ट हुए, इस दृष्टिकोण से भी हमें समझना चाहिए। निश्चित तौर पर कहीं ना कहीं क्लाइमेट चेंज का भी प्रभाव नजर आता है, और ये स्टडी हमें केंद्र सरकार और राज्य सरकार को मिलकर करनी होगी कि एक रात में तकरीबन 8 से 10 क्लाउड बर्स्ट हुए हैं।
ग्लोबल वार्मिंग हो रही है, उससे क्लाइमेट चेंज हो रहा है, इसमें कोई संशय नहीं है। और जैसा साइंटिस्ट कहते हैं कि जब ग्लोबल वार्मिंग होगी और उससे क्लाइमेट चेंज आएगा, तो उससे जो एक्सट्रीम इवेंट्स हैं उनके नंबर पे, उनकी फ्रीक्वेंसी पे और उनकी इंटेंसिटी पे वृद्धि होगी। और हिमाचल में भी कुछ इसी तरह से इवेंट्स जो हैं, जिसमें क्लाउड बर्स्ट हैं, फ्लैश फ्लड हैं, बेसिकली एक्सट्रीम वेदर इवेंट्स हैं। तो इस तरह की इवेंट्स जो है दर्ज की जा रही हैं, और ज्यादा संख्या में दर्ज की जा रही हैं, और बहुत जल्दी दर्ज की जा रही है। हम ये जो है निष्कर्ष निकाल सकते हैं कि ये क्लाइमेट चेंज का एक स्वरूप है जो हमें बिल्कुल स्पष्ट नजर आ रहा है।
Kartiki, my question to you is, do we need to have so many hotels? Do we need to have so many tourists? I know these are hard questions. People will say, "Arey, what about the economy? What about the jobs?" But why do we need so many roads? Why do we need big roads? Why do we need 4-lane roads? My question is very simple in mountains.
Absolutely not. And coming taking the hotels into account, well, when these bigger projects are being made, big central agencies like NHPC or NTPC, they have engineers who study actually slope stabilization and all that. But I'm afraid that these local constructions making hotels on just the riverside, I don't think so. They follow the norms, and the norms are easily flouted. I don't think so. Slope stabilization, which is very important, which is becoming very vulnerable because of climate change, is taken into account. So yes, we need to give a very, very, very strong check on these, and we definitely don't need these. Then maybe people can argue about what about the tourism and employment and everything. But right now Himalayas are not in this state. They are very young mountains, very fragile, and they will not be able to take this. And also depending upon, so they have different geographies, both Himachal Pradesh and Uttarakhand. If you see Uttarakhand, the geography is of sandstones, which are very fragile, and they're very vulnerable to this kind of rainfall, the extremely heavy rainfalls. So we also need to understand the geology. We need to read that, and only then we should take these things. And this rampant tourism activity, I think that's only harming the state.
We need to call spade a spade. We need to be less greedy. We need to respect our mountains. We need to build less there. We need to throw less plastic there. We don't need to intrude in every part of the mountain. We need less people in Tapobhumi. We need less people in Himachal Pradesh. I mean to say, the sanctity of the Himalayas and the fragility of the ecosystem needs to be respected. And climate change is only telling us this, that humanity cannot be greedy. Thank you, Kartiki, for joining me. So this was On Point 2. In the next On Point, we will look at the row over revision of electoral rolls in Bihar, but after a short break.
Tata Motors, we always believe in customer-centric product development. When we started working on our Ace Pro as a platform, we decided it should not be a single product. It has to be a path-breaking platform, which is a modular, scalable. It should house the various powertrains, which will take care of the end customer needs. Ace Pro, we decided to launch 3 powertrains: EV, petrol, and a biofuel. And it's become a really very innovative product platform. So you are able to have a fatigue-free driving. They are offering a very strong brakes to actually ensure that you feel very safe. And most importantly, when you see this vehicle meets the AI 096, the only OEM who is meeting this AI 096 full frontal crash. The vehicle is actually very safe to end user or a driver or the various personas of the fleet and everybody. That is what we are offering.
ये गोल्डन का एक तेरे लिए मंगाओ मेरे नए म्यूजिक गॉगल्स मंगाओ क्या
ये नई गाड़ी कप होल्डर है ठोकी भी रख सकते हैं म्यूजिक भी
सेविंग्स की विद्या तो कोई तुझसे सीखे
कुछ बड़ा बनाना है तो पहले बचाओ फेडरल बैंक से रिश्ता बनाओ
The special intensive revision of the electoral roll in the poll-bound Bihar has raised political temperatures. On July 2nd, a delegation of the 10 India bloc parties met Chief Election Commissioner Gyanesh Kumar. The opposition delegation questioned why the poll body was revising the electoral rolls in Bihar after 22 years. They alleged that the exercise may end up disenfranchising crore of voters. They said voters in Bihar will struggle to produce documents being sought for the exercise at a short notice. Assembly elections in Bihar are scheduled to be held at the end of the year. The last revision of the voters in the state was in 2003.
For 22 years, more than 4 or 5 Bihar elections have happened. Were all those elections faulty?